Now we're going to start on a thumbnail sketch and how I would actually use Procreate to create a thumbnail sketch. The first thing I'm going to do is take my 10 by 14. It's going to open. When I photograph, I don't really pay attention to the background or what's happening. I pretty much just snap the figure the way I want. And I'm going to go here to Bali. And I'm going to take this figure because I happen to really like this figure. And I've wanted to do something with this figure for a long time. So what I'm going to do is fit it on the page. Remember, the outside white is my half sheet, my quarter sheet, my full sheet. That's in proportion to my paintings. So I'm going to decide where I want this figure. And I actually think I want this whoops. I'm going to make the whole thing smaller so I can see what I'm doing. I think I want this figure about this big on the piece of paper, on the watercolor sheet of paper. I'm going to take this off, and now with my eraser, and I'm going to choose my brush pen. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make the brush pen as large as possible and as opaque as possible. And I'm going to come in here and just erase all the information that I don't want in this photograph. The original photograph is still in my photo, so I'm not destroying the photo. I'm just getting a photo that I can work with to do a thumbnail sketch. And I'm going to come down here as quickly as I can. Now, I don't do this during studio time. I usually do this when I'm sitting at night in bed and I'm watching TV, or when I'm maybe at a doctor's office and don't really want to sit there and be bored. So I will do something like this during that time. I will now enlarge it. I will now make my brush a lot smaller, and I will now start to worry about the edges, and I will exaggerate every edge. I know there are programs that will eliminate the background, but they don't give me the edge control that I want. And I really want to be in control totally. And when we get to the light side, I don't want to lose this light side. And so when I get to the light side, I'm actually going to leave a little bit of a dark edge around that. And I will continue doing this until I'm satisfied with the photo that I have. Go back to gallery, and I'm going to go back to a new photo. Again, I'm going to pick 10 by 14. I'm going to say wrench, insert photo, and I'm going to go down here to Mexico, because there's one in here that I want to use. And I'm going to take this basket man. I'm going to take the transform off and make it a lot smaller so that I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take the transform tool, and I'm going to put him right about here. I'm going to take off the transform tool, and I'm going to go to gallery and insert a photo. Now remember, when I insert another photo, it's going to put it on its own layer. So I'm going to choose this, and again, I'm going to size it about where I want. I'll take this off. Now we can't see the second figure, So I'm going to go to layers, and I told you we would talk about layers, and I'm going to name this one Basket Man. And I'm going to name this one Bucket Man. And I'm going to take this N on this Bucket Man. I'm going to touch it. And if you don't see multiply, go all the way up until you see multiply. Then click on the layers again. And now I can see both layers. Now, whichever layer is highlighted is the one I'm working on. And I want to hit transform. And I want to move this figure. I'm really looking for these negative shapes that are being created in here. And I really want a nice negative shape. I believe in connecting my darks and letting my lights escape. I actually think I may even want him a little bit bigger. I'm going to go to Basket Man. And now I'm going to go to transform, and I just want to move him over a little bit to give myself a little more room. Yeah, I kind of like that negative shape that's coming there. I'm going to go back to Bucket Man, hit transform, and I might want him, no, I don't want him a lot bigger. Okay. I kind of like the way that is, except I need a lot more room around the outside. I then am going to group these two layers together. And Bucket Man is already highlighted. I'm going to pull from the left to the right so that they are now both highlighted. And I'm going to click group. And that just created a new group. And now, while I'm on new group, if I take, oh, it wants me to open these, unlock. I'll lock them again later. I'm going to take the transform, and I'm going to reduce these figures just a little bit and lower them just a little bit so that they fit the page the way I would like them to fit my watercolor page. I think I'm going to have a fairly high horizon, so maybe I even want to move them up just a little bit more. Or do I want a low horizon? I'm going to try with a low horizon. No, I want the high horizon. Sorry, we're going to push this way up here. And I'm going to put something else down here. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to put something else down here because this feels a little empty. But I really want that space on each side. And I'm going to take that off. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to lock these two again because I don't want to start to paint on or draw on or do anything on those layers. The next thing I want to do is I want to rename, and I want to call that figures. So that I know what it is. I do like renaming my layers and knowing where I am and why I'm there. Next thing I want to do is to add some sky. It'll be pretty simple because I really am only doing a thumbnail sketch. I'm going to go up here to figures so that I'm at the top of the stack. I'm going to hit the plus and I'm going to call that sky. I'm going to close the layers. I'm going to go over here and pick a selection. And I'm going to select a rectangle. I could skew it and have it angled, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm now going to take my brush And I'm going to take a wash brush and I'm going to make it large, but I'm going to make the opacity a little lighter until I test it out. And that seems to be pretty close to what I want. Okay, and now I'm going to enlarge it, and I'm going to take the eraser, and I'm going to just erase quickly over the area that I covered with the gray. And again, I'm not going to be real fussy. If I really wanted to be fussy, I would actually lower the size of the brush, and I would come down here and I would do this very, very carefully. But really, I'm only looking for a thumbnail. I'm really not looking to create a piece of art here. But I love to have these thumbnails when I start to work. And so I will do that to put in the sky. I then will go back to layers. I will add another layer. I will rename this and I will call it water. Again, I will close this. Again, I will take the selection tool. And no, I just want a small amount of water right in there. Again, I'm going to take my brush. And I want a little more opacity there. Here we go. I'm going to take my eraser. And I'm just going to erase this out. I'm going to take my... once I started to look at it, I think this figure is way too small. So I'm going to go back to Bucket Man, make sure it's unlocked. Highlight Bucket Man. I am going to transform, and I am actually going to, let's see, how big do I want him? I think I want him about there. I want to go to Basket Man, and again, I just think I want some more change in scale between these figures, and I want to push him back just a little bit. And I think that I prefer that a lot more. While I'm on Basket Man, I am going to take my brush and I am going to take the color that is in that shadow. And again, I'm going to take my brush pen. Yes, I do use that a lot. And I'm going to lengthen this shadow, and I'm actually going to let that shadow go right off the page. I kind of like this going around in here. Erase some of that. That's, no, I have to go back to the water layer to erase some of that. I kind of like that, I think, a whole lot better. I still have too much room down here. So I think what I might want, this, just like in painting, you have to think about this a little bit. What if I grouped the whole thing together and then go to New Group, go to Transform, and lower that just a little bit. Maybe lower it even more. Yeah, I'm liking that much better. And I could easily just put in another layer, take my paintbrush, take that same gray that I had, make it large, reduce the opacity, and I can come in here and put just a little bit more sky in here. Really like the idea that I am able to put figures in and then move them. I don't like this little piece that's touching right there. So if I go back to Basket Man, that's why I like these all named, and I go to transform, I could move him over just a teeny bit so that there was some nice space going around that, maybe even just a little closer. And that actually I think is even better. And yeah, that's ready to go. Actually, I can't wait to paint that. I'm anxious to work on something like that.